When the Beatles Rocked Toronto was inspired by the fact that this summer, on August 17th, 2016, it'll be the 50th anniversary of the last time the Beatles played Toronto. And working in museums for the city of Toronto, we're always trying to tell Toronto stories. And when we came up with the idea to celebrate this 50th anniversary, I didn't know what a deep dive we would do into Toronto's local history and discover not just that the Beatles had a huge impact on Toronto and that Toronto was the epicenter of Beatlemania in Canada, but we also had a really strong local music scene defined by Yonge Street and Yorkville, by R&B in the club scene where liquor licenses flourished, and the coffee house scene in Yorkville where folk music, Gordon Lightfoot, Ian and Sylvia, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, were all cutting their teeth. So Toronto had an amazing music scene going on in the 60s, and then the Beatles arrived and the whole scene exploded. And when we started to cast our net and work with guest curators and use their networks, what we found in terms of one of the richest sources of material was photography. We're going to have two slideshows running in a loop. One's about the band, the Beatles, and one's about the fans. And I am awestruck how many fantastic images we've been able to source through archives, through living photographers. So we were very lucky to find some proud and generous lenders in Toronto we do have the wig and the combs and some cards and some magazines in the show. And people of that generation will probably come in and groan when they realize that they had them and gave them away, and now they're worthy of being in a museum exhibit. And we've got board games and cocktail shakers and matchbooks and all kinds of memorabilia from the era to evoke what was life like in Toronto when the Beatles hit. 50 years is close enough that the history still seems very alive for most people. So whether or not you're someone who's going to come here and say, oh, I remember this scene, or I was part of the Yorkville coffee house culture, or whatever, or you're brand new and you wonder what's all the fuss about the Beatles, and what was Toronto like in the 60s, I think everyone will benefit from the experience of coming through our doors.